Hello, everyone. How are we doing today? It's very warm outside. I'm Fahmi Syed. I am president of the Midnight Foundation. Excited here to be talking to Brendan Eich of Brave. Just for you in the audience who don't know what Midnight is, we just announced our tokenomics paper this week. We're launching one of the largest distributions of a token starting next month, and we're bringing privacy and identity as a core solution to blockchains. And we see it as not only a fourth generation blockchain, but the next blockchain. So with privacy in mind, we're here to talk about privacy and the user first web. I want to introduce you to Brendan. If you could say a few words about who you are, it's an honor to have you on stage. So thank you.
My pleasure. I'm Brendan Eich. I did JavaScript in 1995. I co-founded Mozilla, did Firefox, and then I founded Brave to put the user first in a deep way. And that means things like cryptocurrencies and privacy by default, cryptographic protocols.
Thank you. So Brendan, Brave has made privacy the default, not the add-on, not the opt-in. What were some of the toughest design decisions you found in balancing user control, simplicity, and trust? And what do users still struggle to understand today?
So with Brave, we're blocking ads and trackers by default. This is good if you use YouTube in Brave, no ads, no pre-roll, mid-roll. Sometimes YouTube gets feisty. It's an adversarial game, but we fight back and we're still winning. I think in the end, we will continue to win. The browser is where the ground truth of the content that's encrypted in transport gets decrypted and interpreted as JavaScript and so on. And so we can control the vertical and horizontal. We can block those ads. But sometimes things break and that confuses people. We also have very high standard for trust. We have to be like Caesar's wife, Pompeia. We cannot make missteps. And if we do, we have to say, sorry, we made a mistake and fix it right away. We've done it a couple of times. But it's important how you comport yourself after those errors. So high trust expectation from the user, and it has to work. Even if you're blocking the ads people hate, you can't break the site.
Thank you. And you launched JavaScript. What are you most proud of its usage today? And what do you wish it wasn't used for?
JavaScript is over 30 now, so it should get out of my basement. JavaScript's doing fine. I worked on it in the standards body that was revived by my efforts and some friends at Macromedia, Adobe ultimately, to restart standards after Firefox helped restart the browser market. And we worked with Safari and Opera as well to restart HTML standards. JavaScript got a lot better over time, but it's like a lot of successful biological systems. You have ancient sort of DNA. Some people say it's junk DNA. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's good. People argue about what these old pieces of the genome are for. JavaScript has that. It's not going to be a minimal language that's beautiful, that's continually resculpted. It's going to grow somewhat accretively. And yet, in spite of that, it's gotten good, and I think it's on a good path. And I don't think we'll ever be rid of it. It'll be on the starships to Alpha Centauri.
With your recent partnership with Input Output, how do you see decentralized wallet infrastructure helping to protect users of chains like Cardano, Solana, BNB, and others? And how is it core to the users to believe that wallets are changing their relationships to the web, their interaction, and how do we move that in a Web3 world?
So Brave, of course, with the basic attention token, was initially on Ethereum, and we did a wallet that was based on the EVM, and we got a lot of pickup. Of course, you get BNB chain, you get Polygon as well, and others, L2s. But we added Solana, which was very good at the time for the takeoff of Solana. And we're a polyglot browser. We want to have as many chains as people want. Then the problem is interop, not just within the EVM compatibles or cross bridges. It's people want their assets to move quickly and safely. And it's a self-custody wallet, so you have to guard your key. There's a lot of user interface to worry about there, like the cropping of the middle of the address poisoning attacks we have to defend against. And things like simulating smart contract execution to show the user what probably will happen. And nobody knows the future, but it's a useful feature to have. So there's been a lot of front-end work, I would say. But the real value, to me, is keeping up with the evolving world as we head toward fourth-generation blockchains. Because believe me, the world didn't end with the first ones. All hail Bitcoin, and I have to credit Ethereum, even though it's too costly and slow. We've got to get on to blockchains that are faster and private by design, by default.
Yes, and we're excited with the partnership because as Cardano comes to Brave, Cardano native assets will come to Brave, and Midnight will be one of the first to be available to Brave users. So we're excited by that partnership. But the token of Brave was a pioneering model for user-owned attention. How does Brave continue to create meaningful incentives for users? And how it might evolve in the future where privacy-preserving identity and consent becomes standard?
Yeah, attention doesn't go away in the modern world of AI, the large language models. The fundamental paper, all you need is attention, talks about attention in a particular way in machine learning. So we're still working to make the tokenomics viable for new models of attention, even though we block a lot of ads. Our private ads do reward users, but we require users to opt in. We do not impose these ads by default. They're not on if you use Brave by default. You're just getting the ad blocking. You'll get some sponsored images in every third new tab page. That's it. If you opt into the Brave reward system, then you can get a revenue share. We would like to incorporate the basic attention token into LLMs, into all the attention economics that are coming fast at us. But one of the problems which Midnight takes on as well is that if you start using blockchains and you transact at any level of detail, you will fingerprint yourself instantly on that chain. And it doesn't take chainalysis to re-identify you. A lot of people will. In fact, friends of mine who sold their startup to Facebook, Meta, I think, no, to Coinbase. They did a good job. So this AGM, that they were saying, we're going to use blockchain and current ad tech. And it's great because you'll see a sort of fingerprint on the blockchain that'll help us identify users for tracking. This is against Brave's principles. We put the user first. We block tracking threats. We fight against fingerprinting. So we don't want you re-identified, measured and sold, and then commodified and pushed down to a very low value and abused by bad ads. So that's why we're very interested in Midnight, because Midnight allows you to keep things private from the start and still have proofs.
That's right. We believe that privacy has to be the core tenet of where you begin. You should begin fully private and then disclose information. So Midnight gives the ability to have both your metadata, the execution commit private, and then the smart contract language then allows you to reveal elements. So whether you're holding an asset, a token, collateral, you can reveal it to partners selectively without the whole world seeing. So when it comes to Brave, as you think about potential use cases for your clients, your users, and their rewards, you can keep that private and confidential for them then to have the disclosures.
The real trick, and credit card companies do this by just taking all your data, and then they can do gradient boosting, and they can find the fraud cohort or the friendly fraud cohort or the minor fraud cohort and punish them if they need to. But if you don't collect all that data, can you do something that keeps the data at the edges of the network, mints zero-knowledge proofs, and allows others to verify them and still have a reasonable belief that the credit score that seems high is for a real human? That's the money shot for us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's important that we put privacy first. Again, more and more in the Web 2 world, the Web 3 world, privacy has become a negative word, but it's a fundamental right. People are entitled to privacy, and often you have to give away your data and then opt it out. And it's nice to see the mission around Brave is to say you start private and you then opt in terms of what you're willing to share and how you're rewarded for that.
Yes, we're kind of in metaphysical rebellion against the big tech surveillance powers that evolved on JavaScript. I mean, we didn't think about this enough in the mid-90s. The cookie was for keeping your login token so you didn't have to re-log in on every navigation step. It wasn't for third-party tracking, but that's how it evolved. And JavaScript was just fuel on that fire.
So right now, no L1 has true privacy at the core today. Or if they do, there are issues around regulations and other matters. With Midnight, we're introducing programmable privacy to the blockchain with metadata protection, transactional data protection. What are you most interested in seeing made more private for users? I think often about the ability for users to manage their identity as it relates to their commercial activity. So how does it align with Brave's thinking?
So I mentioned credit card fraud. There's similar problems in ads with ad fraud. And in fact, when we did Brave Rewards initially, of course, fraudsters came and took bat from us, and they could pretend to be humans or they could use bots. So if you look at the long-term history in my browser, and I've got some old profiles, I've been, doing things on a regular cadence that prove I'm human. I've been buying airline tickets through Brave. All this is very private, but if it can be studied and condensed into a single proof that I have a certain credit score, that's very valuable. We also deal with regulators. There's no escaping it. We're a U.S. company, so we have to be conscious of OFAC sanctions. We have to worry about, to some degree, know your customer. We don't identify our users. We have no account system. Unlike Google, we don't require you to log in to use Brave. But if there could be a system, and Midnight looks promising for this, we've also prototyped one called Boomerang, where you can use the browser to sort of accumulate facts and then mint proofs. Others could verify them. If a government agency comes to trust this and verify it, we win.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we're working with identity partners within Midnight who can provide proof of somebody's presence, their whereabouts. So you can identify somebody is in an eligible jurisdiction or not by providing that proof through a wallet, through an identity. It kind of complies with the requirements that Brave and regulators may have. But again, selectively disclosing that information. And again, at all times, it's not the data that comes on chain, but a ZK proof, a zero knowledge proof. Looking ahead, what's missing from today's toolings or standards to truly build a privacy-first advertising network?
So I'm not sure advertising, as we've noted, is really the way to go. People have discovered paying for things again. Now, not everyone can afford to, so there's always this argument, Mark Zuckerberg used this, that I have to make it free and then I have to do ads because it's unfair to people who can't afford to pay for, at the time, Facebook, or when he bought it, Instagram. And you have to cover your costs, but advertising became this toxic system where the advertiser has principal agent conflict with everybody, the publisher in which the ads are embedded, the user who doesn't like the ads, other ad tech intermediaries. They're all fighting each other and cheating each other. So I think there has to be a better system than that. And one of the ways we've tried to prototype this in Brave is to use the browser. The browser is where all the ad tech JavaScript runs anyway. So if you block it, it's possible to try to do a private ad system. Again, you need the sort of zero knowledge proof systems that we've talked about with Midnight, and yet proof of humanity to avoid fraud. But advertising is just the beginning. And if there's a way to interact with LLMs, because they constantly need correction, they're always hallucinating, you have to bully them into stop lying to you. Maybe there's a commercial sort of profane economy where people who help train LLMs or fine-tune LLMs or just interact with LLMs in a useful way, which leads to an improvement in their global memory, get some piece of the action, whatever it is. That's one of the things we're thinking about with BAT.
Great. And what is ahead for Brave? What are you excited about in terms of what's coming on the Brave roadmap that you're bringing to the audience here?
Brave's been a strange journey because it started as a browser because that's the tip of the spear for doing anything user first. It's the universal app, the daily driver. We have more user minutes at a smaller user population per day than X does, for instance.
Yeah.
And you do everything in it. You can even use X in it. You don't need to use native apps, which are sometimes festooned with native tracking SDKs. So it seems like the browser is still relevant, but we found that the flip side of the browser coin is search. I knew this from doing Firefox and the Google deal in 2004 at Mozilla, which made Mozilla. That Google deal is now in jeopardy of being voided by the antitrust case that's going to be appealed, I'm sure. And Google will ask for a stay, which might get Mozilla off the hook. But that money might go away or it might turn into a non-fixed payment for default. But search and browser are joined at the hip because you need the users in the daily driver doing the queries or let's say prompts for LLMs. You need them picking the best response. Let's clicking on the best of the 10 blue links or reading the summary and bullying the agent into giving a better answer and stopping hallucinating. That is a powerful system that's not going to go away, whether it's based on search ad economics or attention economics that we have yet to prove and develop, I think that's not going away. And Google has still a huge future there, even with whatever happens in the antitrust case. So Brave is now like the private Google. We have Brave Search. I hope you're all using it. It's the default search engine in Brave if you make a new profile, and has been since 2021, I think. And it gives us the ability to then cleanly, without any privacy problems, unlinkable records, feed machine learning models that need real relevant browser data, search data, queries, and responses. One of the problems with ChatGPT when it came out, you may recall, was it didn't know anything that happened after the middle of 2021, I believe.
Yeah.
It just had not even a Bing API to consult recent web history. With Brave Search, we have an API business now, which is doing quite well. So we're also focused on that. But I always want to come back to the core principle, the sort of metaphysical rebellion against surveillance. And that brings us back to working with Midnight.
Yeah, look, we're excited to partner with Brave as part of the tokenomics that was announced this week. The Brave network, the BATS token, are part of the 8 ecosystems that will be recipients of the drop. 100% of the claim for the first time will be distributed to 8 ecosystems. There are no VCs. There's no Ponzonomics involved. We call it cooperative tokenomics. We want to invite 8 ecosystems to come in and participate. We then want to then open it up to the rest of the world to come and claim, and that will trigger the launch of Midnight Network later this year. And as we say, we are very aligned to Brave because we are putting privacy first. If you turn up, I can turn up here in the heat. I can take my jacket off because it's warm, and I can, reveal certain layers. And that's the idea of privacy. You have to come fully dressed, fully protective, and then you disclose. To your points earlier around existing blockchains, if you add privacy later, the fingerprints are there for people to follow. Even in some of the solutions around other ZKs, there are scalability solutions, or you have a metadata fingerprint that allows you to observe somebody's doorway, their portal to executing on a network. I may not know what they do, but I can see that they are entering that network and then exiting the network. So with Midnight, we have full privacy metadata protection, and we're excited to distribute it not only to Brave and BAT token holders, work with Brave in terms of privacy and putting that first as a principle, but then distributing to the other 7 ecosystems and inviting them all to come and use our cooperative tokenomic model.
I'm looking forward to the future. It was lonely for a while there with Brave. We were fighting fingerprinting on the web, which is something some ad tech players use. They think, oh, we don't need to use a cookie to track you. We'll just notice patterns about you in your browser and your device and your screen size. Brave randomizes some of these a little bit, doesn't break like web games, for instance, but the randomization defeats the fingerprinters. And we've been working on this among other things, and it was cool to see what's coming with Midnight and Kashina and the reordering for both concurrency and fingerprint defense.
Yeah. You are a legend of the industry, both in the Web 2 space and in the Web 3 space, and how you have kind of designed and helped multiple projects. What advice would you give to the audience here who are thinking about innovation and how they take their projects forward?
Maybe this is now commonplace, but I'd say rewrite your code, revise, throw away, do another version. I've said this before when talking about how the V8 JavaScript engine was built. The team that built it was actually defying the Google mothership, telling them, go away, we're working. And they did 4 versions before they got near to integrating into Chrome. And a friend of mine at the time was working in Google DevRel, and he said, we don't know what's going to happen. We might not have a JavaScript engine. And then this very fast engine comes back from Aarhus, Denmark, right? Where they've been working to rewrite it. So one of the things that I think computer science may have leaned on, at least in my day, was you should be doing software engineering and maintaining code and sort of letting code bases become large. JavaScript became large, like I said, because of backwards compatibility on the web, and the language won't shrink, but parts of it can fall into disuse. With code, I think, and with blockchains, it's important to write new code. Learn and write new code. And you're seeing this now with these super hackers that are using large language models to multiply their fingers by 10 so they can type more code. Of course, a lot of it's junk or has errors, and you have to go check it and make sure the model didn't hallucinate. But write more code, but read it too. We still have human reviewers mandatory at Brave. for code review. Google still does. Not sure about their engineering quality lately. Human intelligence is not about to be surpassed by these models. Jan LeCun said this. They're going to saturate at or below human intelligence at a very high training cost. So be a human, write and read code.
Fantastic. I want to finish with go and put privacy first. Go and look at the Brave browser, see what Brendan and the team are doing there. If you're interested in Midnight, go and look at the midnight.gd site. Understand what the tokenomics are doing, how we're changing, how privacy comes first on the blockchain. But please give it up for Brendan, a legend of the industry.